Welcome to Talmudic Treasures. Today we're learning Sotah page 13, which discusses that when the Jewish people left Egypt and they were busy gathering all the money and all the things necessary for their journey leaving the land, Moses had a different mission, and that was to be able to fulfill the obligation and that which was promised to Joseph, that even though Joseph had died, that his remains would be taken out of Egypt and ultimately buried in the city in Israel of Shechem. And the Talmud discusses, according to one opinion, that the Egyptians, who relied heavily on the Nile River for basically everything, for their crops, for water, they actually, after Joseph died, they put him in a metal casket and put him in the water, so that with him, this great man who sustained the Egyptians during the world famine, he would also, even after his death, be able to bless the water. So it's brought down that Moshe was able to discover where Joseph's remains were and was able to get the casket out and traveled for 40 years in the desert. And Moshe personally took care of this casket. He was always the one who was involved in this process. But we know that Moshe didn't actually get to Shechem. He was not able to step foot into the land of Israel, into Canaan. And therefore, it was actually the Jewish people who had to take those last few steps, if you will, from the border of Israel and Moshe dying on Mount Nebo. And at that point, the Jewish people brought Yosef to the city of Shechem, and he was buried there. The interesting thing is that the Talmud tells us, based on the verse, that the one who actually got the credit for the actual process of taking Joseph out of Egypt and burying him in Shechem was not Moshe. It was the Jewish people. The question is why? It seems like Moshe did all the heavy lifting. He's the one that did so much for so long. And on this, the Talmud gives us an unbelievable answer. He says that even if you have someone that does so much, but the credit is given to that last person, the one who completes the task. And even though one could say that doesn't seem very fair, we see this often even in professional sports. For example, in the World Series, when a team wins, all of a sudden everyone starts running to the pitcher mound and starts celebrating with the closer. The closer may have only pitched one inning. The guy who pitched 8 perfect innings before was relieved, and he's sitting on the bench somewhere. No one's running to him. It's the one guy who completed it. So we see that this is a phenomenon that takes place very often. And the reality is that a person, when you do something, you need to not just go through some of the motions, but you need to complete it. It's important to be able to carry whatever your goal is, to complete it to its end. And of course, it's a long, daunting process which takes tremendous discipline to be able to finally get to that. And unfortunately, a lot of times we stop and fall short. We have great ambitions and goals. We have New Year's resolutions, and then we stop before we reach those goals. And it's coming to tell us that you need to be able to reach those goals. That is where you're able to truly get the credit. And on this, the Talmud tells us, interestingly enough, that if a person doesn't complete their tasks, and if you're a great leader, you'll be removed from your leadership position. Why? So it's possible because a leader is someone that has certain goals, has certain things that he wants for his country, and therefore he wants to make sure that all these things are carried out. He doesn't just speak, but rather he's a man of action, and those actions actually will take place and will be completed exactly to the way it was supposed to be done. And if you don't have a leader like that is unable to complete the tasks that are being asked of him, or that which he's setting out, then he's actually removed from greatness. But we need to learn from this message of Joseph that we also have to be careful that whenever we have a certain goal that we want to do, make sure we finish it.